Perhaps no scene in the extended version of The Return of the King has caused as much controversy among Lord of the Rings fans as the confrontation between the Witch King and Gandalf the White during the Battle of Minas Tirith. If you don't quite remember after all these years, this is roughly what happens. When Pippin tells the wizard that the steward Denethor is going to burn himself and his son Faramir, Gandalf then sets out to stop this madness, whereupon the Lord of Nazgul suddenly crosses his path on his winged monster. Up to this point, the plot is very similar to what happens in the book's prequel, penned by J.R.R. Tolkien. There, the Witch King and the White Wizard meet at the gate when the giant Ramvron breaks through it, but unlike the film adaptation, they never engage in battle together. In director Peter Jackson's Return of the King, we see Gandalf point his staff at the Witch King, whereupon the enemy laughs at him. He shall thunder that his hour is come, and his sword shall blaze with fire. Gandalf's staff cracks, and the wizard is knocked off Shadowhair's back to the ground. But before the Witch King can do anything, more horns sound, and the Rohan cavalry appears on the horizon, and Nazgul flies off to meet this surprise attack. Many fans of the books just shake their heads in disbelief during this scene. After all, Gandalf, especially Gandalf the White, is far more powerful than any undead. After all, he has fought Nazgul in the past on the Orthanc Tower, including the Witch King. Back then he managed to drive them away. What's more, he defeated the Balrog, who like Gandalf himself was one of the Maiar, spiritual beings created before the world was even created. But as you might guess, I on the other hand, like this controversial scene. And I certainly don't agree that it somehow wrongs Gandalf or underestimates his abilities. On the contrary, I believe that many of the critics of the film's encounter between the wizard and Nazgul don't really understand the power of the wraiths or Gandalf himself. To begin with, the Phantom's main power is fear. The screams of the Nazgul cause panic among those who hear them, and the very presence of the undead inspires terror, especially at night. Their power also depends on the Dark Lord himself, as the writer J.R. Tolkien wrote in one of his letters. Their leader, the Witch King, is more powerful than the others in every way. However, he has yet to be elevated to the status of the third book when Sauron sends him to lead, bestowing upon him a new demonic power. The Nazgul Lord of the Returning King is thus far more dangerous than the one of the Fellowship of the Ring, and the films also explain this to us several times. Gandalf speaks of the Witch King with apprehension during a conversation with Pippin. The undead additionally gets a new helmet resembling a crown. Then when the Nazgul Lord breaks the wizard's staff, we can see the black clouds over Minas Tirith create a vortex around the flaming sword. The Dark Lord himself, through the darkness, helps his servant Gandalf to break, so the Phantom Lord says that his hour has come. But now to the wizard himself, the main thing that I think many people miss. Gandalf is simply not a superhero. Everyone knows that the likes of Iron Man is much stronger than Hawkeye, and Thanos beats an Iron Man again. But that's not how it works in Middle-earth at all. I mentioned that Gandalf killed the Balrog. But did you know that another Balrog died at the hands of an elf, that two of the most powerful dragons in history were killed by mere mortals? After all, the Dark Lord Sauron himself was defeated by a mere hobbit who managed to get one ring into the heart of Mount Doom. All of Tolkien's stories tell us that they are more important in the fight against evil the small, mundane acts of ordinary beings. The Lord of the Rings rejects outright the idea that power can only be countered by force. In fact, the fate of the Witch King is proof of this. The Lord of the Nazgul may have managed to bring down a powerful white wizard in the film, but only moments later he was destroyed by a human woman with the help of a halfling. That's because the leader of the race in his writing never thought that such weak beings would even stand a chance against him. But more importantly, Gandalf did not lose the encounter with the Nazgul, for the scene does not end with the moment when the wizard lies on the ground and the Witch King is about to kill him. It ends with the sound of horns announcing the arrival of the Rohirrim army on the battlefield. But King Odin would never have brought his horsemen if Gandalf had not freed him from Saruman's influence. Rohan would have fallen if the White Wizard had not brought reinforcements during the Battle of Helm's Deep. But he did, and thus outwitted not only the Witch King, but Sauron himself. For Gandalf's greatest power is not magical flames or beams of light. Do you still remember the wizard telling Balrog that he is a servant of the secret fire? That secret fire, according to author J.R.R. Tolkien, burns inside every intelligent being. It is the power of creation itself, which comes from the god of the Middle-earth world, Iluvatar. Through the secret fire, life and free will are born. And it is this fire that Gandalf has come to kindle. The White Wizard is no battle mage, drowning multitudes of orcs in flames. His main task is to ignite the hearts of others and help them overcome their fear and despair. Sauron wants all the power for himself, he does not want to share, and he sees others only as his competitors. Gandalf, however, encourages his friends and reawakens courage and hope in them.